Doggone it, I can't help myself. This this road here is very pretty. It smells like Sonoma. There's a nice orange tree there. It smells like Sonoma here. It's reminding me of California. The smell. My olfactory senses are titillating some neurons, connections. Yeah, this is a beautiful road here. I love the hills and valleys. So that valley road is another favorite of mine down there that I do. And you can see these nice homes. It's a beautiful garden. Very nicely done. Landscaping here is awesome, in my opinion. I gotta do something like that at my house. Corn! Awesome. I should have put a filter, ND filter. I think I'll do that. It's a nice view, that house. So I'm finally finishing my CIA video. It's a long one. You know, most of the times when I see these CIA, heterodox or critical or conspiracy videos on the tubes, it's MK Ultra, Air America, drug deals, the dark, illegal side of the CIA. Which is par for the course because CIA's mandate is US supremacy and security. So they're not really about obeying the law anyway. That's not their thing. Above the law, without the law. Ooh, that's a nice tree. Yeah, I like that big tree there. Wires everywhere. Leading lines. Those mountains over there, or that hill, that big hill in the distance, I want to go over and explore that sometime, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to drive my bicycle over there and ride around. It's a bit way out of my range. There's a beautiful, let's see, I think it's a falcon up there. Yeah, it's a falcon. I can't tell which kind, but it's beautiful. Holy moly. That's very nice. So I'm gonna go to that town down there, that little town, and then try to go left up through that valley. Figure out what that does for me. Whew. Nice countryside here. Well, now I'm going a different direction than I thought I was going to go. But it looked good, so I thought I'd try it. I hope I can pop back down to the right to the valley and the hill over there, rather than heading back towards Benedita. Yeah, these roads wind around so much that you're going the opposite way you want to go, and then suddenly you wind around. You're going exactly the way you want to go. You're just winding, winding, winding. So here's a really pretty little village here that's getting me down to that valley I was talking about. So Salazar was responsible for kicking off a school building period. This one was built in 1961, a primary school. And the idea that every village would have a school so that kids could get primary school education. And this was a big deal. It made a huge difference to Portugal and has had long-term effect on the country. So you can come here now and you can have a picnic. It's a beautiful view here. Does the water work? No. Yes, it works. That's nice. You can wash your stuff. Whoops. Yeah, so there's that, another view of that windmill that we saw from the other side. Yeah, so going straight down this direction is exciting to me. But I know this road winds around and goes back in the other direction. It's kind of hard to, you can't find a direct line. You have to go up and down hills and through valleys and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for a dictator to be around for 40 years or so, you need more than just jackbooted thugs and secret police to keep them in power. And there are lots of reasons. Hold on. Yeah, so there's lots of reasons why Franco and Mussolini and so on became powerful, but in particular Salazar was in power for a long time. There's so many reasons for that, besides secret police and thugs and controlling the military and all that. And, you know, some people just love Salazar a lot. And some people find it complex, difficult subject to discuss because it's complex. And most foreigners don't get it. But it's the same thing with the CIA. There are lots of reasons why the United States is powerful. And it's not just the, you know, Department of Defense or Homeland Security or the FBI or the CIA or the federal government or anything like that. You know, you got two oceans, you got borders with Mexico and Canada. You're just in an oil-rich, energy-rich environment and have been for a long time. And you have a vibrant, used to be, I don't know when it was ever free, but society, all kinds of people, and lots of resources, you know. So a lot of the technology is publicly funded, university research, there's lots of subsidies that go to corporations. This makes for a vibrant, powerful country. And there are tons and tons of reasons, right? Being able to grow a lot of food, a lot of surplus grain and so on. So yeah, there are lots of reasons. CIA is just one of the things. And of course, they can justify what they do, whether it's torture or, you know, overthrowing governments, starting wars, putting dictators into power, and then taking them out of power when they feel like it, you know. It's their mandate. It's all these agencies have budgets, and they have professionals, educated professionals working in them, bureaucrats and specialists and so on. And all these people have a job to do, and they want to make their living, and they're proud of what they do. It's not simple. Yeah, maybe sociopaths are better suited to being a CEO of a big company or joining the CIA and being a field operative, but that's just the way it is. You need a certain kind of personality to do these kinds of jobs, right? So it's really complicated. But this CIA piece I did is just a simple one. You know, it's like the 101 most basic, simplistic perspective from that consultant that used to be a CIA operative. Yeah, so that's about it. Oh, I just read another article that was extremely good, and I got to do a whole piece on that because it's about the sense making, the liminal web, the rebel wisdom types, the rationalists, the trads. It's just about this whole thing that busted loose in the last 10 years or so, 10, 15 years. Mostly, I think, because of the web, because of blogging and video platforms and so on. Also because people are confused about the loss of certain things, meaning crisis and whatnot, Vervecki. Anyway, this writer talks about all of them, and I've been so deep into this thing for so long that it was a breath of fresh air for me, because it made me think that other people are looking at it carefully and still wondering where the hell they fit in or don't fit in to the whole thing. Because I kind of skate over the whole domain of all these different cliques because I'm curious about all of them, but I don't feel like a big affinity for any of them. I just get bits and pieces from all of them, and I'm trying to think, would some synthesis that my imagination could come up with make sense or be effective? Of course, I'm never going to do anything or achieve anything. It's not like I'm trying to start a movement. But in my own mind, I want to think, you know, is there some way to piece these things together, even in terms of competing groups or groups operating in different from different perspectives, and somehow their communication, their creative output, their product could be, you know, somehow really transformative or something. Of course, some people would say, transform what? What do you need to transform? But there are all these things going on, right? With the singularity hub and all that kind of stuff. Transhumanism and whatnot. And it's just crazy, all the wild stuff that's going on today. And if you want to be a cool guy or girl, intellectual, you kind of have to get into all these different spaces, right? They call the intellectual dark web conservative now. So, you know, the whole idea of conservative and liberal has just kind of lost its meaning because the traditional definitions for those things has shifted so much. All the Overton window type of things. So everyone's looking to redefine things. But of course, this is in certain communities in Europe and North America, where you have these kinds of thinkers. And one wonders, or I wonder all the time, you know, what are the Indians doing? What are the Indonesians doing? What are the Oman people thinking about? Or, you know, Nigerians, you know, South Africans, what's their thing? Israelis, South Koreans, you know, Chinese. I mean, do they have their little thing where they're chatting on 8chan, Chinese 8chan or 10, you know, about crazy movements that are going to happen in China? Or are they just, you know, busy trying to make a living and get by in a technocratic system of Communist Party overlords? I don't know. But it's interesting. I got to do a whole thing on just that one article, because I talk about it so much when I'm riding my bike around, and I refer to these people all the time. And I'm sure a lot, well, I don't have any subscribers, but I'm sure that a few of you who do watch my videos kind of wonder what I'm talking about sometimes. So this article will give you a chance to look up these personalities, look at their product, their blogs, their spaces online, their videos, and see if any of it makes any sense to you, or if this is just kind of some type of, you know, mental masturbation in some tiny little bubble out there that very few people in the world find interesting or important. I think it's important to do these things because as we shatter into a billion little communities and lose tradition and lose coherence, cultural cohesiveness and whatnot, it's going to be really hard to have any control because the tools that power has now, we'll just call it power, powerful players, powerful corporations, powerful governments, are so intense and effective and all pervasive, ubiquitous, in your face even. There's a big conversation going on in all the magazines, Financial Times and Forbes and Bloomberg, even on CNN, about these things, and congressional hearings about AI and whatnot. But it's there. Nothing's going to stop it from, Snowden was saying that yesterday I watched a thing with Snowden piped in, and he was saying something kind of like Vervecki, we've got to train these AIs well so that they're better than us. So that's the idea. Human beings as gods, godlike people with their creative makership power, are going to create AIs that are smarter, better, faster, and just better than us. More ethical, more moral, more rational. So there's that whole synthesis of the trads and the neo-reactionaries and the sense makers and the rebel wisdom and all the gurus and the dark webs and the whatever webs, all these cliques. And all we have to do is synthesize all of the best parts of all of these things, religion and woo and spirituality and magic and all this stuff. And then we train the AIs. They're going to be better than us by some criteria. I don't know if Edward Snowden has criteria for that. Like, Ed, dude, what's the criteria for this better than human AI that are going to be a great service to mankind? Because if we're going to go all around the universe and spread our consciousness everywhere, we better be really good people, Star Trek type people, really nice folks running around, as opposed to Borgs or Klingons or whatever. And another quote from that article was something like, having all the meaning of traditional cultures without the violence. Well, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Do we really need all the violence? I could live without it personally, because I get my violence at the NFL and whatnot. People get paid really well to kill themselves on TV. And so I don't know, man. There's different ways we could wage war that would be better, I think, for the environment, for cities, for populations. I always want to see our leaders at the head of the army. So, all these geezers in power, no, they go to the academia and sit around and finger themselves and talk bullshit and play their petty politics. You have slightly younger people who can still wield a sword and carry a shield, throw a spear, and use a bow and arrow, and send them out there to fight it out if that's what they want to do, if they want to go that route. Leave the rest of us out of it, man. Spend all the money you have on other things. So you're going to make really smart robots, not war robots with 30 caliber machine guns on their back, little war dogs. You're going to make, machines that help old people at their home, who are less mobile. Yeah, I think that'd all be great, But who am I? Am I an idiot? Just some protopian, deluded jackass, who rides around Portugal all blissed out because it smells like Sonoma. Oh boy, aren't I lucky. I get it. I know I seem like an idiot, but it would be nice, I think, anyway, as I imagine the world, if we went in a more positive, less violent direction and did use these AIs and these technologies to our benefit. Who needs to work in a factory? Let the robots do the damn work. You go build ukuleles or, wooden dinghies, or go into material science and figure out how to make bags that are truly biodegradable, and new kinds of batteries. There's a lot of space in science, engineering, and technology that can still leave room for going to church and for understanding and being in awe of the mystery of the world, and putting your pagan symbols on your body. You can tattoo yourself all over with pagan symbols and whatever, and understand history and obsess on the opium wars and whatever. I just think it's so easy for me to appreciate the history of the Christian church and religion and theology and philosophy and so on, while at the same time being a little bit existential and being a little bit into Nietzsche and a little bit into, I can be a little utilitarian sometimes, rational. But you throw any of these things out, that's the baby in the bathwater as far as I'm concerned, because the milieu for the human being's brain is everything. Everything that can be touched and accessed and understood by a human being is going to be fair play. So I'm not going to look at somebody and point my finger and say you're an idiot because you believe something. I'll sit all day long and listen to somebody pontificate on their thing, run through their freaking PowerPoint deck at me. I'd love to talk to people like that one-on-one, but they don't have time for me. They're busy making money. They're flogging their consulting product and their vitamins and trying to get more viewers and more engagement and shares. It's a big business. Being enlightened, being cool, being trad, being reactionary, being new right, the whole thing. You need a budget, right? You look at all the think tanks that Peter Thiel has invested money in, or just pick a billionaire. And, these people serve a purpose to these billionaires, or they wouldn't put the money in. So $1 million is nothing. It's like me giving you $1 for coffee to Peter Thiel. But he wants some work product out of this particular consulting group or research group or technical startup or something. There's a reason he's putting his money there. And he's putting $1 million in instead of 20 million or 100 million, right? There's a reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter. Lots of reasons. But primarily, I think it's just because he likes posting and he wants to be the center of attention. And now he's going to focus more on his core competencies, building crappy electric cars that are very popular, and try to build that market. He probably should do that. He's spending a lot of money. He might want to make some. But obviously, when you have that much money, you're earning money in your sleep. So whatever, you can afford to take risks with other people's money, which a lot of the money for Twitter came from other people. But that's their game. We don't play that. But I think it'd be nice if more of us understood all these things that are going on, these games, all this gamesmanship, all of these incredibly important philosophies and, sciences and whatnot. And then to recognize, you hate science or you love science or whatever, but you don't understand it, right? So you talk about logic and fallacies and noise and history, but you really don't know shit about it, in depth. And you don't know anything about any domain of science. You can't do the math, you can't do the physics, you don't know anything. But you can't trust them, and you don't trust them because it just doesn't sound right to you. But maybe if you understood just a little bit more about a particular domain of science, if you spend a tiny bit of time online learning about how to read a science paper and statistical thinking and so on, you can say Bayesian probabilities, blah, blah, blah. You don't know how to run those. You can't do the math. You just know the vocabulary. But at least you know the vocabulary. There's a thing out there. There's a way of making decisions and parsing probabilities that uses this theorem. It might help you be less of a, you know, a, a dick, or less of a ignoramus, or less of a scaredy cat, or less bigoted, or less prejudiced, or less hateful, or less violent. We have the people, a friend of mine on Facebook suggested that when it becomes profitable not to go around shooting people, people won't go around shooting people, something like that. Well, yeah, you could incentivize people by offering to buy their guns at a huge amount of money, and whatever. I don't think American culture works that way. I don't think people would go for that. But there are ways to nudge and to incentivize, and you can create stories that help people stop smoking, because you throw the statistics at them and they don't care the science about smoking. It's like, fuck off. I'm free. I can smoke. And maybe you should be free to smoke, but not to blow smoke in other people's faces. And you should be free to have a gun, but not to walk around in town with it and accidentally blow somebody's head off. It's so complicated. Public health, mental health, is the CIA pathological? McNamara, for example, back in the Vietnam era, in the 50s, 60s, is he a maniac, a lunatic like Hitler? You know, people preach. Preachers go online and have sermons about whatever, something, you know, in the Bible. Well, if God didn't want Hitler to be the leader of Germany during that period, Hitler wouldn't have been the leader of Germany. So the idea is that everything that happens is in God's plan. And I guess you couldn't have Saving Private Ryan if you didn't have a Hitler. And that's a pretty damn good movie, right? So God works in mysterious ways. Therefore, Trump, who can't really accomplish the things that his constituency wants him to accomplish, is God's chosen one, because he had a TV show and he's rich and he has an airplane and they think he's cool, whatever. So it's God's plan. Yeah, I don't know. If people could just know a little bit more about how other people think and work and do things, a little bit more about steel when it's being heated up to a certain temperature, as opposed to grand conspiracies that require 10,000 people to keep their mouths shut for 23 years. I don't know. But again, if these conspiracy theorists and Q just went away, would it change anything in the world? You'd have a lot of people that were boring, uninterested, bored, depressed, looking for something. They wouldn't have Q anymore. Oh my God. They wouldn't have 9/11 conspiracy theories. Oh my God. So I don't know, should these people just be allowed to think whatever the heck they want? Are they really doing any damage? Am I doing any damage to the status quo by talking to a camera? No. You know, and if they want to track me, they're going to track me. I'm an open book. There's nowhere for me to hide. So I just have to pray that, you know, they're not going to come for me and waterboard me all day. Why would they? I don't know. Nothing. Noam Chomsky talked shit about America for decades. Chris Hedges, oh my God, all these critics, social critics, they think they have no power. They have nothing going. So until you enter the game within the confines of the game, playing by the rules of the game, making the rules of the game, you're not really considered much of anything. As far as the crypto goes, yeah, they're gonna find a way to take that down. And decentralize everything. Well, good luck with that. You know, even with all the computing power on everybody's laptop around the world, there's no way to coordinate all of that processing power without people buying into it. So are you going to spend a whole bunch of money on a mining operation by geothermal vents in New Zealand. Why? Why are you going to do that? And you're going to trade out whatever you make from that somewhere else. It's not really, I don't know. I don't think that decentralized thing's going to really work. It's going to be, you're going to have various types of organizations, but they're still going to be running on top of infrastructure and software that's part of the game. Most people who think about this understand that very clearly. So the big conundrum is how do you work within it to change it? You know, more and more leaders, players in the game are saying, yeah, I'm going to invest in this, other organization, this type of thing, because it doesn't hurt me and looks interesting to me. So I'm going to put some money into that, let these people do what they want to do. Then you think about the CIA and you see anytime somebody in some country wants to go their own way and do something different that's not good for American business, it's that old Schmedley thing. They send the CIA in and the Delta Force and whoever to wreck the damn country, regime change, and put somebody who's business friendly in power. I don't know how Castro hung on all those years. It's just mind-boggling because he's right there, just south of Florida. And, I've been to Cuba a couple of times, sailed there once and sailed around. Isla de Juventud, very interesting place. But, and we couldn't take it down. And they hated Kennedy because he didn't want to take it down badly enough. And Bobby, and whatever reason they were assassinated. Whatever. All those theories too. What difference does it make at this point, right? They're still going to do that. If they don't like a government somewhere, America's going to go in and say, you're not business friendly. Remember what Musk said about Venezuela or something. We can do whatever we want to any country. And that's how they would think, I want things to be friendly to me. I'm a player. And the government generally wants to be friendly to players because players can put some money that way to help out a politician or whatever. Yeah, oh well, I could talk like this forever. I'm just a lonely, stupid guy with no click. I'm living in a beautiful place. As you get older, it's harder and harder to get together with your friends. Unless you're in Lisbon and you have a pub that you go to every day or whatever, and the same drunks go to the same pub. Or if you play boule, or if you ride to the hunt, to the hounds, you're equestrian. My parents were equestrians and they rode to the hounds. But that gave them a lifelong community of friends. Of course, they went to church too and whatnot. Yeah, it's tough, man, living in your own little world. But I'm still quite happy, feeling very romantic about the weather and the whole place smelling like Sonoma. All right, folks, thanks. Bully MT, out. It's a cute little corner here. Modern home paradise with nice view. Not landscaped yet, but quite a cool pool. Here's a nice little cafe that's fun to go to sometimes. Here's the Mini Mercado Almeida. Boa tarde. Hola. So that's a cool little cafe that I go to sometimes in a tiny little village. Not a whole bunch of drunk blowhards with opinions that I love so much, but it's still nice. People are nice. It's an interesting configuration. I kind of like it. I've got to go back this way. Yeah, so today I did a leisurely ride. I just went around here. It was really gorgeous roads. So it turns out you don't have to go 50K every time you go out. Huh, who knew? Very comfortable, very nice. And it's hot today, so anyway, enjoy the ride.